Hello, I'm Steve. I'm an electrician, posting a few videos, just trying to help some young electricians learn some things that they might not have learned. The reason for these videos, throughout my career as an electrician, it's come to my attention that while the electrical field is a very wide electrical field, just because you're an electrician doesn't mean you've done everything. In fact, most of us that have worked in big companies realize that we usually will get ourselves into a certain niche, and so we might not know certain things about the electrical trade. And so these videos are just geared towards people who might want to branch out, learn a few things, maybe even be thinking about a career path change or something and just need to fill in some gaps in knowledge. I'll give you a little bit of backstory for an example. For example, right after my apprenticeship program, I was given the keys to a van. I was a van tech, and I learned a lot about a lot of different environments, actually, between commercial and industrial and stuff like that. I've worked a lot in many different environments, but pretty much my job was setting switch gear, running pipe, pulling wire. I might set some control devices or a control cabinet or set a VFD and do the line in and line out. A lot of times we might run power for some control wires, but for example, there's certain things like networking and controls, and I'm sure a whole lot of other things, but those are the two things I can think of right now. There were just some things that I didn't learn because I was kind of in a certain niche of a big company, and they would bring a technician or someone who did the other niches all the time because they were more proficient at it and probably faster. They would bring those guys in to do things like land the control wiring, do the controlling of the PLC, do the programming of the PLC. They would bring low voltage guys in for the networking stuff. And so while we learned a lot about certain things, there were holes in my knowledge. And actually, even when I got my master's license and had to study for my test, I came to the realization that I'm going to have to learn a lot of things that I might not have even ever seen, and somehow I passed the test. And I guess fake it till you make it, right? And then what's funny is I became self-employed, and of course, not working for a big company, I'm in a little bit different sector. My customers are a little bit different sector. I mean, I'm a guy that just has a master's license, an insurance policy, and a truck with a couple $1,000s with some materials. So I didn't have big benders or a lot of money to hire a lot of subs or anything. So pretty much I'm just a local yokel guy, podunking around town, doing small jobs. And then all of a sudden I start getting calls from small cabinet shop or a small commercial place or whatever. And it became apparent that I was getting confronted with some stuff I didn't know too much about. And so, of course, as a result, sometimes you reject jobs because you don't feel comfortable with them, and you realize, hey, I need to learn some things. Or sometimes you get in over your head and boy, you're scratching and clawing and trying to learn things, and you realize, hey, maybe I can take my negative experience that actually I came out positive for because I learned, but I can take these negative experiences that were very uncomfortable and use what I've learned to teach other people so that they don't get in a bind. Or some people just may want to watch these videos to learn things and not necessarily use it. Some people may be thinking about changing career paths. Maybe if you're thinking about going from a new construction career path to a van tech path, there's certain things that you'd want to know about troubleshooting, for example, that you might not know on new construction. Or there's just different reasons why people would want to watch these videos. Maybe you're just a geek like me and you just want to know things. Or maybe you're in a bind at your work and you're trying to troubleshoot something and you don't know something, so you've Googled to try to figure out something to get yourself out of a bind. Whatever the reason, you're welcome to watch these videos. Some of my videos may seem very simplistic just because there's so many different people that have different experiences and different levels of expertise. These videos are basically for electricians because I've been an electrician so long. I take for granted that certain people know certain things. And so if you're not an electrician, you might have a hard time following me, or you might not. Maybe I'm simple enough that that you can. Of course, you don't ever want to do any kind of electrical work if you don't have a license. So if you're not an electrician, this is just pretty much informational. But if you are an electrician and you do have a license and you can gain some knowledges and some insights, feel free to take that information as your own. And just, one thing about me is I'm not an engineer. I'm not, I don't want to portray like I'm someone I'm not, like I'm some sort of big expert that I'm not. I'm just an electrician that has scratched and clawed and learned some things. And so as I present things, I may present things without all the technical jargon, which may be easier for you to follow me and know what I'm talking about, since I don't have a lot of technical jargon and engineer speak. Or it may be off-putting because I don't know the correct words because I've been self-taught. But either way, just know that I'm just an electrician. I'm just a simple guy that's trying to give back to the trade that has given so much to me. So our first series of videos is going to be about PLCs and motor controls. And like I say, I'm not an engineer, so we're probably not going to get into really complex things. I just want you to know kind of how motor controls work, how PLCs work. I will actually open up a few programs and show you insights into what the programs look like, because although you should never get a hold of the programs and do anything unless you are a programmer, because we have such expensive things and we could hurt people. Although we don't want you to get into the programs, I think that there is benefit in you seeing the programs from the standpoint of, I could show you ladder diagrams and explain things, but when you see me producing an output based on inputs that I've triggered, when you see the circuit in the PLC, you kind of get a glimpse of what that PLC is seeing. And it kind of just makes that ladder diagram come alive so you can remember diagrams and plans and stuff. So if you're ever in a situation where you're troubleshooting, especially if you're using some things that you learned from me, you don't ever want to be that guy that got into the program and screwed something up, or be the guy that got into the program last and all of a sudden something screwed up and it's not your fault that people are looking at you. You never want to be that guy. So you never want, I don't want to inspire anyone to get into programs they shouldn't be getting into, but I do want to show people the programs because I think there's a lot of insights. And in all reality, as an electrician, you will be given diagrams about what's in the control cabinet. And as long as you can read those ladder diagrams well, you can use them to troubleshoot and find where breakdowns are. Sometimes you might need a ladder diagram about the control in the PLC so that you can understand how to use an input to trigger an output in a control circuit that you're trying to figure out why something's not working. I will have to warn you that a lot of times when you are troubleshooting, the problem usually isn't in the program. I haven't seen too many programs that just up and change. A lot of times the problem is in some of the hardware. Maybe a sensor stops working, or maybe a contactor goes out, or a motor burns up, or a lot of times when you're troubleshooting, it's just a fuse. But if you have the electrical knowledge, you can read the diagrams. It sure does make troubleshooting a whole lot easier. And part of the diagrams are what is going on in the PLC. Like I say, really, the real reason to know about what could go on in the PLC is so that you have an idea of all the possibilities that could be going on in this little bitty box that you don't see any moving parts. But you can kind of troubleshoot. You can put your meter on and figure out, hey, are we getting the input we should be getting? Are we getting the output we should be getting? And kind of go from there. So like I say, you're not going to be a programmer, but you are going to learn some insights in the PLC and how they relate to everything else in a control cabinet for the purpose of troubleshooting. So hopefully that's fair enough. So our next video, we're really going to get into the PLC and what are inputs, what are outputs, what are some different ways to wire up inputs. I'm going to show you on the meter kind of tricks that most people use when they troubleshoot about what it looks like when you trigger an input or an output. I'll show you in the program, in the computer program, what this stuff looks like. So like I say, maybe you can gain some insights that it took me a little while longer to gain, and a few experiences that weren't so comfortable. Maybe your path towards knowledge and getting better in the trade will be a little bit more comfortable than mine was. Okay. Also, just remember, I'm not a professional, so some of my videos may be rough. Don't make fun of my small PLC. It's all I could afford on a budget, but maybe who knows? Maybe I'll be a decent teacher someday, and people can like me, and I can make enough money or have enough inspiration to buy a better PLC. You never know. I might learn to edit videos, but for now, it is what it is. It's pretty rough. I'm just an electrician trying to help other electricians learn. So if you can gain from this, you know, give my link, you know, the link to these videos to your friends. Maybe you can help me out by having a following, and we can all just get better and grow together. Okay. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.